Hello and welcome back. It is Sunday, November 3rd. I hope you guys enjoyed that extra hour of sleep if you're in the US on the continental states. I grew up in Hawaii and we didn't fiddle with this back and forth of hour here forward and hour back later. So, anyways, I enjoyed my extra hour of sleep. Not going to lie. But anyhow, so we are, yay, now on episode 12 of Women Need to Do Better. I am your host, Shelly Kirshenman, confidence coach here, helping high performing women, leaders just like you, reclaim your power, your energy, and your time. This podcast is all about empowering us so that way we can be confident in all aspects of our life. And that means our work, that means our friends, our family, but most importantly, it is how we show up for ourselves. So in each episode, I talk about different situations that we deal with in our lives as being leaders, and we get into that nitty gritty so that way we women can do better and stop giving too much, start setting stronger boundaries, and basically let's take better care of ourselves because we cannot pour from an empty cup. We all know that. It's time to stop criticizing ourselves, judging ourselves, and start being selfish. Focus on our needs so that way we can thrive. And there is power in being selfish because when we are selfish, we take care of ourselves and then we have more to give to others. So I just wanted to recap episode 11. That was all about kind of feeling like being our own cheerleader when we had to stand alone and just push ourselves through whatever the goal is because people around us don't necessarily understand us. They don't really support us the way we need it. And even if they didn't make us feel that way, it still can feel isolating. So if that's something that resonates with you, go down to my podcast playlist and check out episode 11. And now we're going to kick into episode 12. Success starts with celebrating the small wins. So even if we are feeling alone in our journey, there are still things that we can do because there is power in our words. And where we focus, that's where we go. What we focus on brings in more. And I'm sure that you've heard of that before. So what do I mean by celebrating the small wins to get success? Well, when we implement little habits that become part of our daily routine, those are the little steps that become just easy because we do them often. And it's those small things that will bring us the big, great results. And that's where we need to start because sometimes it can be overwhelming thinking about our big to-do lists and all the big goals and the big dreams that we have that we're striving for. And that is when we start feeling maybe that self-talk kicks in and we start doubting our abilities, or we think that it's going to take so long because there's so much to do. And it feels like a huge mountain, but you climb that mountain one step at a time. And it's possible. And sometimes, if we would take the opportunity to really kind of look at where we're at now and where we were last week, last month, last year, I mean, truly dive in and recognize where were you really at? Because even if the certain things that you are measuring that you feel you didn't accomplish because of the goal that you have set, the experiences that you had from then to now, you've learned lessons and you have grown. You have gotten better. We are always improving. And I know we are because the leaders that I am talking to, you guys are just like me. And even if it feels like the success isn't what we expected, when I start thinking about all the things that I've learned and the person that I am now, there is a huge difference from who I was a year ago to who I am now. I mean, there's a big difference who I was last month to who I am now. And one of the things that I reflect on, the biggest thing that I feel I have grown the most in is patience. Life has put me through a lot. And I am very optimistic. I am a dreamer. I look at things and say, okay, what is the positive that I can pull out of this experience? What is the lesson to be learned? And how can I make this improve myself? And patience was a huge one for me. Like, I have learned how to curb my tongue when I have had to deal with, like, my husband with his stroke, and he's got some memory issues, and he's definitely a totally different person than he was when we first were married, and everybody changes. But when you have the nerve and brain, um, I hate saying damage because the body repairs itself, but when you have neurological damage, it rewires, because if you think about your nervous system, that is like your motherboard to your entire body, mind, and soul. Like, that's your life. And his personality has changed, and his temperament has changed, and the way he thinks has changed, not in every single way, but in a lot of ways. And for him, he gets frustrated because some of his memory has been affected, some of his long term memory. And I know that he's bothered that he cannot remember, like, our wedding, and he can't remember, like, the kids growing up. And it's hard. So, like, later on tonight, we're going to go through some picture books and try to see if we can jog some of those memories. But as far as like the small wins, he has definitely improved on some of the things in his life from that last bad stroke, December of 2021. And of course, this time of year, it's really hard for him because he is thinking about, is it going to happen again? It's that fear. And as the person that I am, and this is where I'm talking about, celebrating the small wins and remembering where you used to be and who you are now. And I'm a leader. I am the person that he depends on. I'm the one that, you know, I don't want to sound like I'm braggadocious or anything, but it is, for me, my role in our family to lead. And it's something that he looks to me to do. And the power of positivity is so strong. Like, your words make up your life if you think about it. And so it is so important to focus on those small wins. And sometimes you need those small wins to kind of smash those negative thoughts that creep up, that self-talk that tries to convince you to keep you safe from the unknown, right? To keep you safe from what hasn't happened or what could happen. But what good does that do if you're constantly living in fear? And we can look at these small wins to help kind of retrain that voice inside that wants to keep telling us, to sit down and you can't do this, or it's too big for you, it's too hard for you, it's too XYZ, it's unknown. We don't want to take the chance because we don't want to be embarrassed, or we don't want to be humiliated, and we don't want to prove to everybody that we can't do it. I don't accept that. I don't. And I just, I believe in myself. And the thing is, I don't know of any inspirational story, movie, book, whatever, that I have come across where they, whoever it is that is the main character in this story, has overcome, like, the big, oh my gosh, like, how do they ever do that? That would never happen, right? That they have overcome that big obstacle. Have you ever heard of anybody overcoming that big obstacle with a mindset of, yeah, I don't think I can do this, but I'm going to try? Or, yeah, I know it's impossible, but yeah, I guess I'll give it a go. And I'm thinking about movies like Rudy, of movies like um, I don't remember the name of it, but it was the girl that went swimming and then her what was it, her arm, she got bit by a shark or attacked by a shark. And she still made a life out of it. I mean, there are people out there. There's so many stories where they have overcome something that seemed impossible, which is, of course, why they make a story out of it. And even if you don't want to take the Hollywood glamorized version of it, still, even if you dwindle it down to just the basic of what experience they went through and what they did to overcome that, you have to have that positivity. You have to have the power of those words. And it comes with the small successes. It's the celebrating those small wins. And when you feel yourself kind of sinking into that, I can't do it, or I'm so overwhelmed, I'm so stressed, I need a break, I'm tired. Oh my gosh, I can't tell you how many times I've just felt like I want to give up, but I won't because I'm stubborn. I am so stubborn. I will not give up. But I'm tired. I'm stressed out and I feel like I'm at my limit. My plate overfloweth, my cup run dry. I mean, you name it, I feel it. But I don't give up. And on the days that I feel like, gosh, dang it, when is it going to end? When am I going to get my break? When am I going to get some peace? Or when am I going to be able to see some of those successes? And that's when I have to sit myself down and have that talk and be like, okay, let's bust out that gratitude journal and let's go through what we've already been through. Let's go through the diary. Let's just journal. Get those feelings out on paper, because a lot of times what is in our head, all those conversations, when you actually start writing them down and then you start looking at them and evaluating them and breaking them apart, like really look at what is it that you're really afraid of, or what is it that's really stressing you out? And you'll find that it's not as big as it feels when you write it down. Or at least maybe that's just me. Because when I have things in my head, it swims in there and it's on loop. It just keeps going over and over. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, there's so much going on in my head. I need to write it down. And when I write it down and then I'm reading it, I'm like, oh, that's not that big. That wasn't as much as I thought it was. It, it's doable. Like, okay, I can break these down into smaller bits and I can totally annihilate these. I can totally make a way to find a solution for these. Or some of them are just like BS. It's just a BS story that my mind is telling me and trying to take me into that safe zone. And honestly, people that make those huge differences, we don't live in the safe zone. We know that. We're the one blazing new trails where no one's been. But how do we get there if we're going to live it, let it live in our heads rent free, right? These ideas, these negative notions that, yeah, maybe tomorrow, right? And that's why I reiterate, it is so, so, so important to make yourself a priority. And whatever that means, carve out 10, 15, 20 minutes, half an hour a day, every single day, whatever it is that you're able to spare, do it for yourself. Make sure that you make yourself a priority, because I guarantee you, if somebody that you loved had called you out of the blue on your busy, busy day, tell me that you wouldn't spend the time to talk to them if they were, if they were at their wits' end. You're telling me that you wouldn't take the time to take their phone call or go out and have some coffee with them, or at least text them, have a conversation while you're doing something, but still give them the attention to text them and hear them out and try to help and be there. You know you would, because you're that kind of person. I'm that kind of person. Like, I will put myself last because someone else needs me. But that has been changing. And I'm telling you, out of my own experience, I say this and I try to practice what I preach. No, sorry. I'll take try out of there. I practice what I preach. I am not 100% of the time, but it is my intention. It is something that I am working on, and I'm constantly working on improving myself. And I have to make sure that if I reframe my brain, because I say, okay, is this something that I would do for somebody else? Yes or no? And if it's a yes, then why do I not do it for myself? Why am I not worth that? Why am I not a priority? And that's the mind shift that I'm changing. Those are the conversations in my head that I am changing, because I am important and I am worth it. And when I make myself a priority, I have more energy and more to give to everybody else. And that's what lights me up, because I want to be able to give my very best to everybody that needs it, to the people that depend on me. And I want that for you guys. This is what my whole podcast is about. This women need to do better. We need to do better. We need to stop minimizing ourselves. We have to start taking up space, voicing what we feel, saying, I am important, because we are. Think about how many people depend on you. How many people look up to you? How many people are waiting for you to show them through your own example and lead them? And sometimes it is because of you, someone else has some success. Someone else loves themselves more. Someone else is able to do something that they thought they couldn't, because you showed them. You made it possible. You matter. And because you matter, and because you make yourself a priority, because you celebrate those small wins, you can have those big wins. And because of the big wins that you have, you are an inspiration to somebody else. That is the power of that positive momentum. Those small wins that build and build and explode. And we can show and share this with the world. That is my dream, to help as many women grow into who they are meant to be, to not stifle their inner voice, to not be afraid or timid to be who they are. And I've seen it. I used to be that. I used to be that shy girl. I know, surprising, right? But it's like, the thing is, when we are raised, when we're little, we're not out of the womb shy. We love ourselves so much. I mean, look at children, look at babies, look at toddlers. They have so much love for themselves. I absolutely love watching babies look at themselves in the mirror. And they just are like in awe. Like, I am amazing. Oh my goodness, I have eyeballs, I have fingers, I have toes. They love themselves. And they're enamored with themselves. And it's just like, wow. And it made me wonder, where along the line did we lose that love for ourselves? Where along the lines of, as we grew up, where did we learn to be ashamed of ourselves? To not stand tall, to not be loud. And I'm not saying that, it was an intentional thing or not. And it doesn't really matter. There is no place for blame, because what does that, whoever is to blame, it's irrelevant. Because here we are now. We're adults. We can change things. That's the amazing thing about being a human, right? We're not part of the animal kingdom. We are not wired just for survival and instincts. We have a brain. where we can think outside the box. We can think independently. How amazing is that? That's what matters, right? Is that we can think for ourselves. And we can create the life that we want with the power of the words that we choose to feed our brains. Because what we tell ourselves is what we bring into our lives. And what we bring into our lives, our beliefs, our values, our views, we project that out into the world that we live in. And I just think we can take so many lessons from the untainted minds of babies before the world tells them that they can't do things, before the world shushes their voice, before the world tells them, no, you have to be like this, you have to fit in the box. That's not how we were wired originally. That's not what we were meant to do. And I want to encourage anybody out here listening. And by the way, thank you for tuning in. But let's take back our power. Let's listen to that intuitive voice inside us of we are worth it. We can accomplish whatever we want. We can do whatever we want. And so maybe what we need to start with is just a daily or a weekly reflection. Just write down, and if you could do it daily, great. If you don't have the time, at least a few times a week, just write down, jot down something, one thing that you've accomplished that day, however small or whatever. Just write it down. Keep track. And so when you've got those days when you're feeling like you're defeated, or you're feeling like you don't have the energy, you don't have the patience, you don't have the time, you don't have the whatever it is that you are lacking, go back and look at those small wins. These are the things that are going to lift you. These are the things that matter to your long-term success. It's all these little things that add up that get you one step closer to that big goal. And remember that you have to come first. Because if you don't come first, you can't help anybody else. It's kind of like they say, if you're drowning, how are you going to save anybody? It's really hard. But that is what I wish for all of you. Everybody listening, to have that self-confidence, to love yourself, to know that you are so totally worth it and you matter. You matter to me. Even though we haven't met, I can feel your energy. And I want to send out all the love that I can to you to help you grow, to help you recognize how special you are. And the world needs people like us. It really does. And we are closing in on the beautiful holiday season with all the excitement, the events, the socializing, the getting together, and finally seeing people we haven't seen in years or weeks or months or whatever it is. And I don't know about you guys, but I have a love-hate for the holidays. And honestly, my favorite holiday used to be Thanksgiving, because as much as I love Christmas, I don't like the commercialized aspect of gift giving and requirements and the stress that comes along with that when people are not always upfront or forthright about expectations. That's really where my frustration comes from, is the communication of expectations is often hidden in little passive aggressive comments or in references to, I don't know, like people think that they say things, but they don't want to come out and say it outright because, they don't want to be come across as being rude or something. But I've always been an advocate of say what you mean what you say. Just be straightforward. And so two things that I want to leave you before I end this podcast is our next episode, and I'm going to be doing these Sundays only because I'm going to be taking more time for myself and working on my digital store, my stand store, which has all kinds of tools and resources for boundary building and resilience and emotional intelligence. And so I want to start adding to that. So that's what I'm going to be working on. But next Sunday, episode 13, is going to be all about your duty to yourself versus duty to others. And this concept is kind of about balancing, responsibilities that you have for yourself, as well as trying to balance the challenges that you feel required to do for others. And I especially wanted to hit on this with the holidays coming up, because next Sunday, I also have a workshop that I'm doing. It's a free workshop. If you'd like to be invited to that, it's a Zoom only. And the only, if you register for it for my Zoom through email, then you'll be on the list to get the replay. So the only way to be able to view this or participate is to register. And I'll have the link. I'll have the link below in a few days, not just yet. But anyways, yes. So next Sunday, two things, episode 13, which will be later in the evening, about, duty to yourself versus duty to others, and making sure you have that balance of how much energy you put into yourself and how that is reciprocated with the energy that you put off for your responsibilities to taking care of others. But the workshop that I'm having it's called No to Hell Days for the Holiday, because I've had personal experience with the holidays and the stress that it brings when you are thinking about, who do I invite, or who do I have to get presents for, or who's going to feel left out, or what kind of food should I serve? What time should I have it? Can I accommodate everybody? Where's everybody coming from? Are they traveling far? Are they traveling close? Do they have pets that have to be, taken care of? And all of those things, like, we want the holidays to be fun, and we want the holidays to be something that we enjoy spending time with those that we love. But sometimes it isn't that way. Sometimes the holidays end up being more of a stressor because you can't exclude, anxiety auntie this, or toxic Tom, Uncle Tom, whatever that, whatever it is. And so in my workshop, I'm going to address things that I've personally experienced and things that I've helped other people navigate with the holidays and the anxiety and the stress and the just trying to get through it and enjoy it. How can we do that? And that's what we're going to do. We're going to get tools, we're going to have examples, and we're going to have just kind of like an outline of what you can do. And this is going to be at every different level, because sometimes people aren't ready to do those hard boundaries, which I totally understand. Some things you're like, okay, I'm just going to take a small little step towards protecting myself and my energy, but I can't do a whole lot because of whatever the situation is. And I totally understand that. So we're going to cover all of those things. So thank you again for listening. I totally appreciate my audience. And if you haven't, please subscribe to my podcast. I would love that if you'd support me that way. And I also love to hear any comments. If there's something that you want me to cover, if there's something that you would like me to give some tools or tips, or maybe there's something that I already have in my toolkit that I can offer to you, I would definitely do that. But I am sending love. Enjoy this weekend, and happy November to start. I hope you guys have a great week. I love you.